All right. Welcome back to the podcast. I just want to do like a general rant. I'm not trying to make it like too intense. I'm driving to San Diego, and it's a little, probably close to like 6:30 right now. It's going to be about 2 hour, 15-minute drive. That might decrease to about 5 to 10 minutes. It might decrease by about 5 to 10 minutes. Please bear with me. I have had a day, and I'm tired. And I'm all over the place. I don't even know how I want to feel. I don't even know what I'm really trying to do. I'm annoyed by everything. I'm irritated. This guy's looking at my dirty ass car. Just drive, buddy. My car's been like sitting in the driveway for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. When's the last time I drove? 2 weeks ago? That can't be right. Yeah, the last time I was like the Monday before I got COVID. So around like, I don't know, the 17th or so. I can't really do that math in my head really easily. But yeah. Wow. No, that can't. Yeah, I guess that's right. So I haven't driven since about the 17th of July, and today is August 5th. That can't be right. But I guess it is. But my car's been sitting in the driveway all the time, and my folks do a lot of gardening, and you know, we're close enough to the ocean that there's like a really hazy marine layer, and there's always like fog and just moisture in the air. And then we get windy days, and then there's dust and dirt all over the place and sand, and so we just deal with all that. Everything is sandy where we live. So there's that. I'm kind of like mentally, emotionally, just cognitively all freaking over the place. Physically, everything. I'm just like, I don't even know. Like, everything's kind of in a mode right now that's just like, yo, what's up? I can't really pick one. I can't really just like pick, like, you know, like part of me is like super excited. It's the weekend now, officially. You know, it has been for me officially for the last 2.5 hours or so. If you want to count the amount of time that I kind of like actually stopped working, I mean, I stopped working like about an hour early because I finished my work and it was just a rough day. So I was just like, well, I'm just not gonna do much. You know, I communicated with the parties in charge, and they kind of knew what was up. So they're not gonna like penalize me for it. Like, I just didn't want to take a day off, and I was like, I'm just gonna take it easy but keep working, and I'll let them know if I felt like I needed to really just not be there. But yeah, I technically worked the full shift. Like, I was there, but I wasn't doing a lot of like actively super productive, super important stuff. I was, you know, I had my plans for the day, and then the day just went its own direction, and so I just went with the flow. And you know, as much as I kind of shit on my job, the thing I like about my company is that, at least lately, other than the very first, well, there are some other people I've interacted with, but I kind of know how to deal with those types. But on the topic of bosses and management, like, they're very understanding, they're very helpful, they're very supportive, especially if you just communicate with them, you know, before If you can, if you kind of like tell them what's going on in your life or whatever, like in general, they kind of get you, and they're like, because they've all had our positions too, which is the good part. So it's like, they've moved up to where they are from where we are. Not all of them, but I feel like those make the best bosses, the ones who had your position within recent years and then got chosen for management positions or lead positions or supervision positions of different types of, I don't know, there are different roles that we have at our site that other sites don't really have, but so it's just, nice to have a boss that you can just be like, dude, I'm just having a day, and they're just like, they get it, and they kind of like, like they'll tell you when it's like, okay, like somebody's gonna need to handle this today, so let us know if somebody else needs to do this if you can't do it. Like they're very good at like letting you know, not holding grudges, and like, as long as you're able to kind of communicate things in the most responsible manner possible. Like even when I noticed on a Sunday one day that it was going to be too late for me to like rent a car and then drive all the way back to where because my car broke down, so it was going to be too late for me to rent a car. I couldn't find a car rental that was open that I could get to that had something affordable that I could get all the way to where I was needing to be, without either spending a fortune or, it was late too, like kind of later in the evening. So I was like, I'll at the earliest get back at like 11 p.m. and then I know it takes me a while to unwind. So I didn't want to get home on a Sunday night around 11 p.m. And then, have to, like get home at like 11 p.m. because that's where my computer was. Like I was in a different city from my work equipment, and we have to use our computers, our cell phones, all that kind of stuff. Like that's how we have all of our client records. And so I wasn't near it. I was like 100 miles away from it. And so I was able to message my boss that I just kind of couldn't come in. That was probably the second least responsible thing I've ever done. I think at my other site, the first least responsible thing I ever did was I kind of misjudged, I guess, my drinking going out one night. And I used to have this breathalyzer. I still have it. I don't really drink that much, so I don't really like, I don't know. It's in the car somewhere, but I don't know where the heck it is. It's somewhere. But, yeah, I have a breathalyzer, and I don't know. I might have lost it. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm assuming it's in the car, like jammed underneath something in the trunk or whatever. But yeah, I remember going out for drinks one night with friends, and then, I came home and took a shot for some reason. Like, I don't know why. Like, I was like, whatever, the night's young. And I was starting work the next day at noon, and I woke up and I was like, okay, I can sleep till like 10. And I went to sleep late. I don't know what time it was. It was probably midnight, but it wasn't like so late. Like, if you don't have to be up till like 10, like midnight's nothing, right? And I probably did sleep that long. And I woke up and I was kind of groggy, and it's like, because I skipped my normal routine of like hydration, breakfast, not drinking the night before. Like, I skipped my whole entire like regular routine, so naturally I was gonna be a little off. But I remember it was like, I would leave at the latest like 11:30 to get to work at 12, but usually I would pick up Subway because it was Thursday, so I would have Subway. Usually I would have breakfast at home, and then I would have Subway once I got to work at noon, because we had a meeting that started right when work started at noon, so we actually had to get there a little before noon so we could like get the computers up and everything. And so usually if I wasn't getting Subway, like I kept like spare like a little bit of food at work, you know, for days when I was just like either forgot my lunch or something. So I'd usually have like a couple like cup of noodles, or like, you know, those like pouches of like Indian like curry with like, or like even like the Japanese curry packets, and then like those like microwavable steamed rice, you know, instant steamed rice kind of things. So I would have that kind of stuff at work, like 2 or 3 options of things. Thursdays usually I ate twice at work because we were there till 8 p.m. But yeah, I remember that day I woke up, I was like, dude, I'm like feeling like I'm maybe not that sober. And I got dressed, I got ready and everything, and then I actually drove. Like, I used my breathalyzer, and I was within the limits, but I was still, like, testing with a blood alcohol concentration. Like, it wasn't 0.08, but I think it was, like, 0.03, 0.04. Like, it was a little bit. Like, it wasn't, like, a lot, but I was, like, you know, I drove, and I was, like, I'm cool to drive legally, you know, so I drove all the way to work. And then, you know, I was in the car for like a little bit. I didn't get the Subway or anything. And then I was in the car for a little bit, and I was like, well, maybe if I drank a couple like bottles of water, or like, I think I had like one of those gallon jugs, and I was like drinking like a little water, and I was like, I went in, had some coffee. Like, we didn't like officially log on to work. We didn't like usually officially log in, because like the front desk at that job would see us as we would come in, and they would just mark the time that we came into the office, like, because they would have to see us. We'd have to pass the window. There were no other doors we could use to get in, and so they would see us coming in, and even if they weren't there, like, it's like, you know, like, if you're not in the meeting on time, or like, you know, eventually somebody's gonna notice if you're not there. But like, yeah, usually we were responsible. If you're gonna be late, you would like text at least one of your coworkers, if not your boss, and you just be like, can somebody please say that I'm going to be late or whatever. And then even if they told the boss like way after the fact, it's like, it's still time stamped when they texted you or whatever. So it's like, but it wasn't like you couldn't be doing that every day, like text your friend and to tell the boss or whatever. So it's like stuff like that, where it's like, oh, I don't have the boss's number in my cell phone, and like, you're the only number I have or something, like, you know, like the occasional thing. And so yeah, I was irresponsible by going to work thinking I was gonna work, and I was not, you know, I wasn't comfortable with not being fully sober. And so I was like, you know, because I didn't feel like fully all there. Like, I wasn't feeling drunk, but you know how it is when you've been drinking not that many hours ago. It kind of felt like that. Like, I still felt a little bit, not quite a buzz, but just a little bit of like just that haziness, and like just not in the state of mind I wanted to be when I'm like starting out my day presenting like important cases for work. Like, I would have had to be like typing in notes and like presenting stuff like within like 10 minutes. And so I was like, I don't think I can do that yet. Like, maybe if it was the kind of day where like you have a 2-hour meeting at first where you're doing nothing and you're just like sitting there listening to people, and then you have like some other presentation, like, yeah, if I'm eased into like 3 hours of just like sitting and listening to stuff, yeah, I could do that. But it's like, if I actively have to be talking, and then there's a chance that like the meetings always would get interrupted by walk-ins, so that would have been another chance to take, that I would have maybe had to see a client. You know, I feel like I was, on my end, I felt like, oh, that was so irresponsible. Like, but I did take work off. I came in, I was at work, I was on time. And then I just was telling my boss, I was like, you know, like, on second thought, even though I'm here, I kind of don't really think I should work. You know, I didn't give much of an explanation. I was just kind of like, I think I really just need to go back home and go to bed, and eat better, because I don't think I had even eaten by that point, like, because I was trying to like rest as long as possible. But yeah, that wasn't responsible of me, and I kind of was like kicking myself over it, even though like nobody like cared. And they don't like ask us to like reveal like what's going on. The only time work has ever started asking us to reveal stuff was since COVID, Now whenever you get like any kind of sneeze or cough or anything, they want to know if you're positive for COVID, which I get. Like, that's perfectly acceptable. You know, we're not trying to like spread it as fast as wildfire, but because it does spread freaking fast. And so yeah, I understand that. It's annoying, but I understand it. But yeah, they're usually, when I have to take off work, it's usually been like me saying I will work today or I can't work today, you know, like, or I can work part of today. But yeah, I've had those irresponsible experiences, but nothing that was like so over the line that I could have gotten fired over it. Like, I was, you know, thinking it through, and like at first I was kicking myself over it, and I was like, damn, like, why did I even like go in, and like that wasn't responsible of me. But then like later, like a year or so later, I kind of realized, I was like, you know, that was a responsible move. Like, I've talked to people that I've worked with before who said that like they used to drink like at work just to like cope with being on the job, like, because it wasn't that job, but like another job that was like so stressful that a couple people had been working at. A couple people I knew had been working at another place that I don't remember what it was, but it was some other place that was so stressful that they would like, they weren't like plastered, but they would like drink, like have a beer or half a beer or something like on the job. And I'm like, okay, that is not in my comfort level. Like, yeah, because even if you can function, I feel like if something happens and you're under the influence, even if nobody knows, you'll know, you know. And that's the thing, I never want something to happen and have that be like on my shoulders, you know. It's like it's bad enough when things happen and it's like out of everybody's control and everybody was trying their best, or even if like it's out of everybody's control, but like maybe somebody slipped a little bit, like they forgot to schedule somebody and then they committed suicide or something, like just like things that happen just because like the job is so rushed and everybody's stressed, and like, you know, of course you're gonna make mistakes, but it's like those are kind of like normal mistakes that are like, okay, like we can see that you've been trying up to this point, you know. But yeah, like my work-life balance is all off. Like, I feel like every weekend I'm spending so much of my energy just trying to like be able to like function at work, and it's not even a hard job necessarily. Well, I tell myself it's not. I actually tell myself it's not a hard job because I'm comparing it to my other one, but it's hard in its own ways. Like, it's focus, like for my style of focus, it's hard. Like, I don't focus very well sitting in a room by myself with very low stimulation, low energy, you know. I don't focus very well like that. I don't. I can, but I don't. Caffeine helps, but then once the caffeine wears off, I start getting a little like unfocused and kind of like not quite jittery. Like, I don't drink that much caffeine. Like, literally, it's like if I drink even like a full inch deep of coffee in a day, that's a lot for me, and that's usually in 2 sittings. That's usually like maybe half an inch worth before work, or like right at the start of work, and then if I'm feeling a little like groggy after lunch, like if I ate something for lunch, you know how sometimes you get like tired because you ate like a giant burger or something. It's like, of course it's gonna like take all your energy and all your brain power because everything's trying to like process the food. Yeah, like that's kind of what I would notice. Like, I'll drink maybe the rest of the coffee then. If I have more than that in a day, then I know I'm gonna be like regretting it, because then the come down from it is like too intense. I get like super irritable, and like I'm just like, you know, there's plenty of other stuff that I need to be doing at the end of my day, like when I'm off work, and I would probably be like too scattered, and I don't even know if I want to call it anxious. It's like it's not like a like anxious like emotionally. It's more like a like physically, like kind of like physically, like it's a feeling I don't prefer. Like it's like the physical feeling of anxiety, just kind of like I just don't like that feeling at all. I know a lot of people love having like that heightened energy and stuff. I really just don't like it. It doesn't naturally match my own energy. Like I don't like to be too far from my natural energy. I just want enough energy to like focus as fast as I need to be. And I don't need to be any faster than what is required for me to get the job done. Like the way I kind of think about it is, do I have enough energy that I'm focused and able to finish the task, and not like so much energy that I'm jumping around from task to task to task and like doing like partial everything. That's how I can tell if I've had too much versus enough caffeine. And then am I not only the bouncing around, but you know, like am I like, sometimes I notice some tasks take me way too long, right? So for example, something as simple as a phone call, you know, you find the client's name in your caseload list. It's all electronic, so like, you know, as long as you're already logged in and everything, you just go to the main list and you can sort it by alphabetical order or whatever. I usually sort it by like last name and by alphabetical order. And then you just look at the caseload and you look at the list and you look at the name and you click it and then you open a note. And usually the majority of it's going to be like pull down menu for all the like demographic type stuff and all the type of note and all that kind of stuff. All you really write is what happened in the session. That's specifically what you write. And most of what we do is MI and just like other case management skills and like direct resource education and like some therapy, and then following up with providers and or family or whatever. And so that's most of what we do. Or it's like driving around, picking up clothes somewhere, delivering them to somebody else. Like we can go to food banks, we can go into offices and talk to providers or talk to our clients at their houses or at the offices or whatever, their provider offices or whatever. But that's kind of like the majority of the types of tasks we have that aren't like electronically faxing or like electronically uploading stuff for the people in the office to physically mail or emailing and that kind of stuff. Like, so you would think that like a task usually doesn't take that long unless you're like on the phone with a client and it's a lengthy session, or unless you're like researching something that takes long to find, or if you are on hold forever, or if you're driving somewhere and it takes a while because like, you know, you try to get there early and then, you know, a lot of times we would probably write our notes from the car. Like a lot of us, like when we do go out in the field, we try to have our last sessions of the day in the field, and you know, just naturally you're gonna like time it with your errands and stuff, so you're gonna write your last note from your last appointment while you're in the car with your laptop and stuff, and then go do whatever you're gonna do, like go straight to the gym or whatever once you log off work at 4, stuff like that. Like we're not usually always 100% sitting at the desk. But yeah, like when I'm sitting at the desk all the time, and it's just not as fun. It's not as engaging. It's a little boring. It's like, oh my gosh. But there are, like I mentioned, like there are more tasks that we do, but that's the majority of the tasks. And it's like, it's kind of like you never really know what's going to need to happen that day. And some of it's rushed, and some of it's like, okay, I can wait to do that till Monday. Like there's some tasks I had that I could have done Tuesday or Wednesday, and I shoved them all the way till, instead of doing them today, I put them on like this coming Monday, just because I'm like, I didn't want to do it today, and I didn't have to. Like, some stuff is like time sensitive, but usually we have enough time to figure things out. and then we get like urgent calls, and so it's like really hard to know what the day is going to be like. So that's another factor that's kind of difficult. And then just naturally for my own energy, it's kind of hard for me to like sit in a room by myself. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that I get like lonely working. I wouldn't necessarily put it that way. Because I mean, I'm constantly texting people. Like, I'll text my friends, I'll text my family, I'll text the clients, I'm talking to my coworkers. Sometimes we call each other, like me and my coworkers will call each other, or we'll just be like online and just like talking to each other and stuff, like either typing or like talking or texting through our work phones or like whatever. Like, we're pretty social on there, online. Like, we're pretty social all day. And then, you know, I haven't even like lived by myself anytime recently at all. Like, I'm at the house lately, but before that I was living with roommates. I mean, the roommates would have been more than happy to talk to me. I mean, that was very one-sided, but it's like, if I really needed to talk to somebody, you know, like at a house, I've pretty much always had somebody that's in the house. Like, even where I'm living now and like being with the folks and stuff, it's like, you know, my mom doesn't leave the house. Like, she's always home. Like, unless like she goes to the bank or something, like she's always home. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Like, you know, and where I lived before, you know, there were a couple people that were just, they never left unless they went to get groceries or like to an appointment or something. They like hardly ever left. I don't think I was ever at that house fully by myself, but maybe once, maybe twice, if I'm being generous. If I'm being generous, I'll say maybe 5 times total in like, how many years? Like, a 2.5 year period or so. Like, I haven't even been by myself at that house 5 times. And there were many days during the Rona where I was just like home all day, every day. You know, there were many days because I was working from home, and so since 2020, and so I was home the majority of the day, and there was always somebody at the house. And so, yeah, I mean, I've always been surrounded by people, but being surrounded by people doesn't necessarily mean that like it's not going to be a lonely situation. But I don't really think I really felt like, I don't think that that's something that comes up often at work. It's just more so I'm used to working with like a community feel, like kind of like you know, like I'm weird at work. Like, I'm really weird at work. Like, the previous work setting and the one I have now, as far as staff, is kind of the type that I prefer socially. Like, as far as like my personal life socially, I really like being around people who are passionate and compassionate and really like to, like, they care about like important things, you know, not just like super like everybody has like superficial stuff that they care about. Obviously that's fine, you know, and just like entertainment that they like or whatever. Like, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, you know, like, there's like definitely deeper connections there, and people aren't usually like, you know, yeah, on occasion people might get on one another's nerves, but it's never something that lasts more than like a day. It's usually like, okay, we're both irritable at the same time, and so we were both like affecting each other. Like, that's normally what it is. Like, I was a little too rushed and you were a little too, you know, busy or whatever, and it's like just little things like that. It's usually not like some long drawn out like thing of like people now they hate each other or whatever. Like, I haven't really been in a situation like that in a long time. But yeah, I kind of prefer these types of settings where it's like, you know, like the connections with the staff is good, the connections with your boss is good, like you can kind of trust the people that you work with, and then, you know, even ideally, you know, like you're actually friends outside of the office, but then in the office you're able to keep that professional boundary like really tight. Like I think the closest friends I have that are work friends that's usually how I'm the most comfortable, and they know that about me. So they know, like, you know, whatever we did outside of office hours, we do not discuss. Like, you know, unless it's like I'm texting you on your personal cell phone during work, from my personal cell phone during work, to try to make plans with you. That's about as much as we overlap at work. And they totally get it, and they've always gotten that, and like, it's really cool. And then you have the other ones that are always just trying to, like, you know, kind of put you on blast a little bit, because they think it's funny. Like, that can be annoying, but it's like, okay, it's funny too, a little bit, like, as long as they don't go like way over the line. But then you have the other ones that are either like, they usually don't make the cut. Like, I'm not saying I don't like them as human beings, or that they're not fine people, or that they're not good as coworkers. It's just, it's hard for me to, like, I wouldn't say that I distrust. It's not like a distrust thing. It's just, during work, I prefer to be able to do my job without it being awkward on any level. So I don't want clients overhearing things about what I do on the weekends. You know, the place where I used to work had like all these like weird little hallways, like crisscross. It was like, if you think of like an H shape on one side and like a sideways U shape on the other side, with all these like connecting doors and like hallways, and then like these other little doors on the outsides of the walls. That's kind of what it looked like. I don't know, that makes no sense. But yeah, basically it wasn't just like a long linear hall, right? Like, there were different areas you could go, and so you never really knew who was where. Like, there might be like areas that were like open, like bullpen style, like with the case management area that was like an open like bullpen, and sometimes there'd be like a client seated in there. Like, you would turn the corner to go like heat up your lunch or something, and go through that like hallway door, and then there's like a client like sitting there. Like, you never know who's where. And even though they're open spaces, and technically it's usually only staff back there, and usually the clients are in the like private rooms, like, you never know. Sometimes they're waiting outside by the bathroom door, or like they're taking a phone call in the hallway, or something like brief, or like they're waiting outside the doctor's office while the doctor and nurse consult, or like something. Like, there was always, not every day all the time, but there was always a chance that you would bump into a client, or someone would be having a session with the door open, and then the client, like, maybe they left to go consult, and then the client was sitting there and the door was open. Like, and these are just hallways, like open hallways, so you couldn't just be like talking to your friends about like the party last night or whatever, and then like somebody's in there like with a serious situation, and their therapist is out like talking like across the hall in a closed door, and that door where the client is just open, just like overhearing your whole entire conversation. Like, you can't just be peeking around the corners and seeing who's where, and like, are there clients, like, are there staff, like, not even just clients, like, sometimes you don't want staff overhearing everything too. Like, so yeah, it was like, I feel like most people kind of got that, and then there were the select few that just couldn't really understand what was happening, and that's why I said they didn't really make the cut. They were the ones that I was like, I'm open with my coworkers. Usually I'm like, that's how I really test things out. I'm usually like, yeah, let's hang out, and usually it's the ones who either never hang out, they're the ones that I never really get too close to, because we never hang out outside of work. So I just see them, you're only a coworker. Yeah, we're friendly as friends at work, but I wouldn't really like call you up on the weekend or something. Like, we're not like talking outside of work. Like, we don't really have a relationship outside of work. For me, that's fine. Some people like, I noticed something that I don't like. Some people want to have that like close relationship, but only at work, and never want to hang out outside of work. To me, that doesn't work. I mean, maybe if it was a different type of job, like, that didn't involve like client care, and like how you have to be so professional. Like, I feel like it's the type of job, like, you don't really want to have any weirdness in your reputation, because you're dealing with people and their sensitive issues, and then, you know, like, you want to be professional. Like, you don't want to feel awkward around like your leads, or around your supervisor, or around your directors, or assistant directors or anybody. Like, you don't want to feel like, oh, I can't come in and consult because, like, they know that I was, like, out drinking last night. Like, it's kind of like, it's weird, right? To me, it's weird anyways, and I feel like some people don't find that to be weird, but to me, it's like, I like things to be, like, so finely defined when it comes to work and this type of a setting. And so I'm wondering if I get a different job that's in a different setting, like if I do end up outside of mental health and end up working in a type of job that's like some complete different kind of setting, how I would really feel about that, and how I would function socially. Like, would I be doing things exactly as I am now, or would I, like, change it up a little bit? What I have now really works for me, so I don't really see any reason to change it. Because usually I'm giving everybody fair opportunity. Usually my rule is, you know, I'll put more trust in a person who's willing to go out and hang out, you know, because then it's like we're all on the same level almost. It's like we all were doing this. We were all getting stoned in the car that night, guys. Like, it wasn't just me, you know? Like, I'm not just talking about, like, what I did. It's like we were all there doing this, or, like, at least witnessing it, and, like, you know, an accomplice or whatever. Like, we were all there. We all went to shop at the dispensary. We all went to the porn shop. We all did it, you know? It's like, this is what we all did. And so, you know, we all went to the bar, you know, we all did that. Like, it's not like it was just like me talking about what I did. Like, I feel like it's very even that way. And usually that tends to, like, deter people from kind of, like, talking too much about things. Even the really nosy ones, or the really, like, gossipy ones, tend to maybe not say too much when they know everybody's there. And the thing is too is, like, okay, we're all, like, therapists overall, like, or so in some realm of therapy, so everyone understands, like, confidentiality and privacy and stuff like that. Like, it's not like we don't know what that is. And so I usually trust that people know how to do that. Will they do it? I don't know, but I don't think I've ever really, to my knowledge, had too much trouble with jeez, why is there so much stuff in the freeway? I'm, like, dodging, like, bags and bumpers and, like, Jesus. I'm on the 73 right now just because I need, like, a smooth patch, man. Like, dude, there was, like, all kinds of stuff in the street. And I don't know what they did where, I don't know if that's Anaheim or just before Irvine. They, like, totally screwed up all the roads. Like, you can't see, the lines don't make any logical, like, you know how when you drive and it's like you kind of automatically follow the curve of the line when you're kind of, like, on a bit of a curve or a bend, you know, you can kind of, like, naturally let your car tires just go. Like, you're not, like, jerking the wheels around. Like, I feel like I just did that for, like, 10 minutes, and now I'm in another section where there's just, like, people's cars just fell apart and nobody came back and got their stuff. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I almost hit a bag of, like, hay or something. I don't know what that was. It looked like it was a big paper bag, and then I got closer to it, and it looked like it was, like, a bag of, like, hay, or, like, I don't know. People don't have hay out here, but it was, like, it looked like it was wrapped in, like, that potato sack kind of cloth, like, but it was, like, a tightly bound, like, gigantic thing of, like, hay. I don't know, it was I think it was hay, I'm pretty sure. It wasn't, like, in a square, but it was, like, unless it was, like, tumbleweed or weeds or some kind of, like, something. It was something brown sticks, light brown sticks, like, that looked like somebody was, like, gardening or something, and, like, it fell off their truck. I don't know why that would be, like, on the side of the road, but whatever. But yeah, that's kind of my take on things, with work, with hanging out with coworkers. I'm pretty open to hanging out with people. I usually like it. Most of the people I work with, I do want to get to know them. Like, most of the people I meet, I want to get to know them. I'm usually just kind of, like, naturally interested in people. Like, not for any real motive, really. I don't think. I I don't know. I wouldn't even say that I like it's from a place of like caring about them all the time. Like, not that I don't care. I don't know. This is coming out wrong, but like I care, but like I don't really care to do anything with the information. It's just kind of like, yeah, I like learning about people. I like learning about all kinds of stuff, but I like learning about people and like how maybe we're similar, how we're different. Like, I really like social settings, even though they can be a little stressful to like think about before they're happening. But I do get a little anxious. Like, I'm not like a totally not anxious person. Like, totally I can be, but like sometimes I'm not too. So I don't really know. Like, it kind of just depends on like where my head is. But yeah, I was yeah. I say that my job's not stressful because it seems like it's not, but there's a lot of dynamics that kind of make it a little less normal. Like, especially the social part, it's like, it's kind of hard to get to hang out with the coworkers. I kind of like to naturally test stuff too. Not like test it, like I'm not like, I don't know. Like, the way I use words sometimes, I don't know. I'm not, like, calculating things, or maybe I am, and I just don't know it. But, like, I like to kind of, like, see where feel out kind of where people are at before I know them. And so I have a lot of that because we have a lot of coworkers that kind of come and go and, like, changing and, like, people changing teams and stuff. So there are a lot of people that I know about that I never really worked with, and then, like, something happens and now they're in this meeting with me, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm getting to know this person, and then that other person I really liked is now on this other team, and I like have no reason to ever talk to them because we have like no meetings or nothing in common other than the fact that we like text each other every now and then, like that kind of stuff. Like, but I like to kind of know, I guess what I do usually, I guess, when I'm trying to like know who I'm gonna kind of interact with at work. Another thing I kind of do is kind of like getting to know like what they do, and I've noticed most of my coworkers either they're really shy and they just aren't open to sharing, or they you know, they're not open to sharing but they're just always doing stuff and just never mention it, or they're just totally homebodies and never ever hardly ever leave the house. And I'm noticing more and more, so many people never ever leave the house. Ever. And so, like, it's really hard for me to get to know those people because I don't really hang out really at people's houses. Like, if you're, like, a really close friend, or if you invite me over, which most people I know don't really live by themselves, and so we're not really, like, inviting people over like that all the time. Like, you know, people have their families, people have their partners, people have their roommates. A lot of times they're not just like having coworkers come over for drinks or whatever. But I mean, if someone welcomes me into their home, I'm you know, cool. Like, let's do that. But usually it's not. Usually, kind of people keep a bit of space on that, which I get. I mean, I'm totally the same way. I don't think I've ever had any coworkers come over to my house. Have I? I don't think I have. No, one. I think I've had one coworker come into my house. One. That was a weird experience. But, and it was also like, it wasn't even like planned. It was kind of like they needed to come in the house, and because we always hung out at this other person's house, I kind of felt a little like, I can't just be like, you can't come over, because they were asking something so simple of me that I was like, you know, I can't say no. Even though at that house I wasn't allowed to have any guests at all, but I was like, you know, whatever, like, you know, if they're asking me something, I'm not gonna you know, they're asking like a favor of me, because they're, you know, we always hung out. You know, I would always hang out at this person's place. We would always be, like, hanging out and, like, catching up. And, like, we would hang out other places, too. And, you know, they'd always be, like, you know, buying sushi or pizza or, like, whatever. And, like, they're always so welcoming. And so, like, when they were just, like, can I come over? Like, because we were about to go to, like, an event. And they were just going to pick me up because it was, like, right near my place anyways. And I was going to show them the best parking. and so we could not pay parking and then just walk, because it was like a block from where we were going to park. And so I was like, well, just pick me up and I'll show you where the parking is. And then, like, I didn't like ask, but like to pick me up, but I was just like, we'll just get there early and kind of tailgate a second and like whatever. And so we kind of had this little plan going, and they came over, they were like on their way, and they're like an active sports person, and so they were like coming off of like playing some kind of game or something, and they were like, can I just change at your place real quick when I get there, because I'm gonna come straight from my game. And I was like, cool. And I thought about it, and I was like, shoot, like I can't like have people in the house. But I didn't go back on it, and I was just like, well, you can come over, but you can like just change in the bathroom or whatever. So I was like, cool. So I didn't even try to clean, guys. I didn't try to clean at all. Like, I didn't like make any effort to clean whatsoever. And of course, I'm sharing the house with a billion people, and so right when my friend was like, hey, I'm like, I think they were just getting gas like down the corner from my place, and then they were gonna be at my place like within like 5 minutes, and then of course a roommate jumps in the shower, and I'm like, damn it, like now they can't like use the bathroom, which wasn't that clean anyways, but I was like, it's way cleaner than my room. And so then they had to like come change in my room, and I was just like, fuck. Like, that's not the at least when you're having somebody over, we want the place to be clean. Like, it wasn't like a little disheveled. It was like literally like I had not cleaned at all because I was tired. And then like the first chance I would have gotten, this was like the beginning of the weekend, and we had plans, and it was like morning on a weekend. And so I was like, I didn't even have any time to clean. And had I known that they wouldn't have been able to use the bathroom, I at least could have been cleaning for the whole time. But instead I was just like chilling and not really cleaning, because I just assumed like, well, they're not going to have to see my room anyways. And that's probably one of the messiest days it's ever been like that. Like, it was like bad. But I basically just covered all the mess. I shoved everything in the closet, and then just covered everything that was out in the open, just like with blankets. I was like, I don't know what else to do, because like I can't clean this shit. Like, I got laundry and like all kinds of stuff just like everywhere. Like, I'm like, I can't clean this in 5 minutes. There's no way. So I had to just suck it up. But I'm like, whatever. That's kind of like about as good as it's gonna get, buddy. But whatever. That's just how it is. But yeah, I don't really have coworkers at my house like that. And at that time, we weren't even working together. But I don't know. I don't think I would have coworkers over unless I really hung out with them. But I made a lot of good friends from work. Like, it's been a good time. I do still have a couple people that I'd like to catch up with, but we just never naturally got into a flow of like hanging out. And so it's like, even though we were close at work, and like we were kind of close while we were at work, and then like we just kind of parted ways and a little bit lost contact. But we kind of joke and say that like our job's like a lot of trauma bonding, and it really kind of is, because like you meet people and you're kind of dealing with all these situations while you're with these people, and just dealing with all these intensive cases and all these intensive situations, and they're usually the ones that know the most about it, because they're there from like the start to finish of every single case. The people on your team, like, we don't consult or anything with everybody, but I mean, the people who listen to you give your case conference presentations, like, they're the ones who at least know what's going on. So it's like there's always at least a small group that's kind of like aware of like how you deal with things and what stresses you out and all that kind of stuff on like a regular basis, and what kind of things you're kind of dealing with at work or whatever. And then, you're talking to them during work anyways, like, just like, oh my gosh, like, this client keeps calling me, like, it's the 13th time they've called me today, like, you're just, like, venting on, like, Teams, just, like, messaging them or whatever. But it's like, they get it, like, your family, your friends that don't really work at the same sites, they're never going to fully get it, because they're never, like, fully there at the same time doing the same thing. And then also, it's, like, really hard to be, like, appropriately just like venting about work, like sometimes you're just like, I just don't really want to be like venting about this with people who I'm pretty sure they're just trying to enjoy their day. They're not trying to hear all this, Like, I think it's a lot to, like, dump on people. Even though, like, I feel like, I hope that I have a decent balance with it, but I know there have definitely been times in my life where I was just, like, unloading on people. But I really try not to do that anymore, because, like, I've had people do that to me, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, I just can't, But, I mean, a little bit, like, I'll always be able to, like, handle at least a little bit of somebody else's stress outside of work, but it's hard for me when it's, like, somebody who just, like, whenever they call, I don't have any immediate friends like this, but I'm just thinking of people I've known in the past, so I was like, whenever they call, it's just, like, to vent about their problems, and then I'm just like, oh my god, I feel so drained. Like, it's like, that's just, like, the most draining thing. And it's like, okay, I literally was doing therapy all day, and now I'm, like, talking to this other person, like, for hours, about, like, issues, like, every time it's, like, an hour or 2 hours about, like, issues, like, and then it's kind of hard, too, with those kind of dynamics when you don't really hang out with the person, so you don't really have, like, common stories or, like, fun times. It's just, like, there's just your role is, like, their free therapy, kind of. Like, I really don't like feeling that way, but also it's, like, hard for me to be, like, go away. But sometimes I don't know, I've gotten really good at kind of, like, I don't know, if people are offended, I get it. Sometimes I offend people because of the way I talk. I get that. It's totally understandable. I used to get actually offended when people would get offended by me, and now I'm like, no, I get it, because, like, sometimes I'm just not even, I don't have any compassion to give, and I'm just like, dude, like, this is just how it is, like, you're just gonna have to deal with this on your own, like, but, usually it's like, I'm able to, like, tell people if I'm just, like, not into, like, having conversations. I think that's naturally perfectly fine to be just, like, not in the mood to talk. Like, I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly fine to say that, too. And I was talking with somebody about this, a friend that I grew up with. We were talking about this not that long ago, how they have a friend where they live that's just talking about socializing in general. Like, this friend of mine has a friend, it's hard for me to, like, explain what I'm trying to say. They have a friend who has, like, an annoying quirk about them, right? So, the friend always calls to complain about their partner when my friend doesn't really care. And then or I think the reason why is because, like, that person complains about their partner, but then they're also not, like, really direct with their partner about things, and they kind of beat around the bush about, like, important stuff, and so they complain that, like, that person's not, like, picking up on hints, like, that's not exactly the problem, but something along those lines, where it's like they're not being forthcoming. It's like, okay, I didn't remind them that it's our anniversary, but now I'm mad that they didn't remember, like, stuff like that, where it's like, well, if you know you're gonna be mad, just, like, say something. But there's that, and then there's, like, I think, my friend's a really skilled runner. My friend runs a lot, like, mega, I don't know what they're even called, like, mega, it's not called Megatron, I can't think of the name, I'm tired, guys. Just like those ultra marathons, that's what they're called, ultras, I think. I don't know if there's something above an ultra, but they do, like, really long runs. Like, for them, like, a 12 to 15 mile run on, like, a Wednesday is just, like, normal. Like, that's, like, normal for them in the double digits, in the teens. Just a normal weekend, I just woke up and just went running 15 miles. Like, that's normal for this person. Like, they don't do it, like, maybe every single day, but it's like, I think they run almost every single day, and then it's not always that distant, but they do distant running. And so they're very serious about it. It's kind of one of the main things that kind of like has been sustaining them when they've had like a lot that they their job is like, you know, they can't get out of that contract, you know. It's not like you can just quit anytime. And so they're stuck for like an amount of years. So even if shit hits the fan, or if that job gets like hard, they're going to be stuck having to do it. And so they have things like running that's like just really important for them. And then this friend of theirs is really like not into the running. Like, well, is into running, but has a problem with the maps and getting lost, and always shows up late. So when my friend is trying to like run, that friend shows up late, and then so interrupts their, you know, their schedule. And then this friend of my friend's gets lost often. So they get lost, and then so my friend feels a little bit obligated to kind of like stay with this person while they're running, but then also they're running late. So it's like this kind of like they feel a little bit like it's a little bit disrespectful. But then I'll, you know, usually my take on things is like, you should be able to tell people things, you know. But then there's always the risk of them being offended and accidentally hurting their feelings. And sometimes there's nothing you can do about that. You can say things as nicely and kindly as you need to. And, you know, if it's a sore spot or a sensitive issue for somebody, they're naturally just going to get their feelings hurt. There's nothing you can do, and hope that they get over it. Or just say nothing, and now you get mad and pissed off, and then eventually just ghost the person. I mean, it's kind of like, sometimes you just have to say something. I'm more of the type of person that will, like, I don't know, I can throw things out there kind of in a funny way. Even if it's not something that really bothers me or does bother me, I feel like most of the time I'm not, like, super bothered. Like, I try not to let things get to a point where I'm, like, so bothered by something. And if I am that bothered, like, everybody knows, like, I lived with, like, freaking wild-ass roommates for, like, how long? And I would always speak up about what was getting on my nerves. And so it's like I was never really feeling too stuck by anything but myself, you know. I was just like, I let myself do this. I felt like, okay, the not really power and control, but more like the decision's all on me. If I want to leave, I can leave anytime. Like, I always kept money on the side if I had to leave. So if I needed, like, even a hotel, or just to, like, escape to LA, or just get out of town and go chill in the mountains for a week or whatever, like, I could easily just leave. Like, it was never, like, an issue. I couldn't, like, permanently leave and be paying rent in, like, multiple places. Like, I mean, I could move, but, like, I couldn't just, like, leave and still pay rent there. Like, I'd still have to eventually get my crap out of the house and clean it up and everything. But, I mean, I always had options to, like, go places. And so I could put up with stuff for a really long time, because it's like, well, I can just leave. If I don't feel like being here, I can just go take a break somewhere else, you know? Like, I've said my piece. Like, if somebody's getting on my nerves, I will tell them, you know? If there's somebody who's supposed to be in charge, I will tell them what's going on. I'll work with the problem-solving portion of things and try to work things out. Like, I'm not usually one to kind of let things go on so long that I'm so annoyed that I'm just like, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Like, I mean, I have done that before, but I mean, I feel like that isn't helpful, because then you're like, well, it's not really that I didn't like that person, I just didn't like that one stupid thing, you know? It's like, you know, if people don't know, then they're never gonna stop, you know? Or they can't even, like, think to stop, because they don't have a clue of what is annoying. Like, some people don't pick up on social cues. Like, for me, it's kind of weird, because I pick up on social cues. I'm just not always good at just, like, you know, not being, like, super impulsive with the way I do or say things. Like, sometimes it's just going to come out the way it comes out, you know, even though I realize I'm like, oh, shit, maybe I need to calm down a little bit, like, but, you know, I think everyone who knows me hopefully knows that I have good intentions. I mean, like, I just say dumb shit sometimes, like, whatever, but I feel like overall, I'm usually nice to people. If I feel like I'm in a mood where I'm not going to be nice, I just stay to myself. Like, that's just the easiest thing. Like, it comes and goes. I'm not going to be always, like, in a bad mood, you know? So, and I try not to have, like, every interaction with somebody while I'm being in a bad mood. I try to be pleasant to be around. But yeah, I can be a little bit silly when people need me to be serious, or I can be a little bit, like, in my own head about whatever the heck it is that I have on my mind when other people are trying to totally just, like, talk about something else. Like, I'm kind of, you know, and sometimes I notice it, but it's like I'm just kind of, like, on a roll, you know? And I think that's one thing, too, with caffeine. Even when I have a little bit of caffeine in my system, I feel like that's one thing I don't like about it, is because it does make me a little bit more, like, my energy is a little bit more on the impulsive side. And as far as, like, socially, I can't really slow my brain down enough to kind of, like, tune into the situation. I'm kind of, like, there, but I'm not, like, fully in it all the time. I'm just, like, I can be totally in my head. And just, like, oblivious to, like, everything that's going on around me. And then, like, or I can just, like, notice things going on around me and just, like, not really do anything to actively, like, change it. But I don't know. But yeah, and today's just been a weird day overall. I left my watch. I think I left my edibles. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check once I get to this hotel if I have my edibles. And then I'm gonna decide if maybe I'll just smoke a bowl. I got plenty of weed that I haven't been smoking, so there's that. But I don't know. I'll determine that once I arrive. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about the weekend, next weekend, the days before next weekend. I got a birthday coming up. I don't even know how I feel about that. I'm like, you know, I'm inching closer and closer to 40. I kind of almost thought I was like a year younger than I actually am, and then I was like, oh shit, like I'm actually like older. So that's annoying too. But I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit bag of mixed emotions. Probably gonna be that way for a while. It's fine. Like, it's not like the end of the world. But I don't know. Sometimes I just want to feel differently than what I actually do. And today's one of those days. I'm kind of like, I'm not really feeling like bad, but it's like not like terrible bad. I've definitely had worse days. But coming off of COVID, and then COVID followed by a period, I mean, come on. Like, can you have like a worse scenario? I mean, it's like, I need just like full freedom here, like to just like fully unwind and just like have like something normal. Like, just let me just have like a normal weekend, you know, where like things don't go weird and nothing strange happens and nothing breaks, and I don't have to spend like a spare $1,500 for some random thing that I didn't expect. You know, like, I just need things to just kind of, this just flow for once. I just need something to just be chill. I need like a couple of chill weeks. I haven't really had like a couple chill weeks. It's been like a lot of like, things are good and then this happens, and then things are good and then that happens, and it's like, oh my god, like this is happening over here and over there, and it's like, I mean, that's just life, but it's like, I kind of need like a real break, you know. And then I went and used like a whole lot of my PTO days because I had COVID. So now I'm like, even though I'm pretty burnt out and worn down, I'm like, I can't even comfortably just like take PTO right now. Like, because I'm like, I'm taking off 2 days next week, which is going to be great. But I'll be in the, I think I'll be still at the 48 hours of PTO remaining. So I gotta really check and see about that, but I don't really know what to say. Yeah, I've been, like, I use a lot of therapy services because if I don't, I'm gonna lose my mind. It just kind of keeps me as balanced as I can be, which it probably isn't in any way obvious by, the way I'm, like, always on these podcasts, just, like, saying, like, whatever the heck. But, yeah. If it wasn't for that, I would probably be, like, way, like, off the walls. Like, I feel like I'm managing things. It's just, like, you know how it is. You can still manage things, and it's still not, like, fully ideal, But I also have, like, really high expectations. So, that is on me. That's my own fault. I was saying today to someone how, like, I need other people to kind of usually tell me when something's, like, stressful, because it's kind of weird how I don't notice it. Like, sometimes I'll just be, like, telling people, like, how my day is, like, because, people ask, and they're just like, hey, how's your day, or, like, how are you doing, and I'll just, like, catch them up to, like, what's been going on, and they'll be like, damn, like, that's a lot, and I'm like, yeah, that is a lot, isn't it? It's like, I don't even think about it, and, I'm kind of having one of those days. It's kind of just, like, hit me, like, everything kind of, like, building up. Like, it's not, like, a bad day. Like, I've got bad news. I've had bad news today, but it wasn't, like, a bad day, like, other than bad news, if that makes any sense. And the bad news is nothing I could do anything about. I'm not really trying to, like, be talking about it on here, but, I mean, it doesn't even, like, affect anything about my own personal life directly. It's just a work situation. I'm not in any kind of trouble or anything. It's just we have shitty news from work sometimes. Like, we work with people in cases and situations, and sometimes the news is just not good. So it's just one of those days. But yeah, I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, sometimes I'm like after I was, like, saying that I need somebody to, like, tell me how stressed my day is sometimes, because I don't really, like, even though I do, like, I think I do tune into myself, but maybe I don't. Like, I feel like I do, but then at the same time, I'm like, how do I not notice when I'm stressed? But maybe I just ignore it. Like, there is a part of me that ignores it. So I remember, like, I don't know what I was talking about. Like, I think I was talking about, like, kind of, like, family dynamics and, like, LGBT topics and, like I don't know, it wasn't really, like, any stressor directly, but I was just, like, how therapists kind of just, like, what's on your mind kind of thing, and I was just kind of, like, I don't remember how we even got into that conversation, but the therapist brought it up, like, kind of, like, what's the dynamic between, like, you and your parents, and then, like, staying in their house, and then, like, because my parents are religious, and then, like, me having my whole, like, gay self life, like, I just do all my gayness. Like, they, I don't know what they think. Like, they never say anything about anything. And so, like, the therapist was kind of, like, curious about that, and I was just kind of, like, trying to explain it. And I was like, yeah, I mean, my folks aren't, like, bad. Like, they're not, like, standing at my door, like, knocking on the door, like, we hear what you're watching, it's like, I mean, I don't know if they know, like, what I'm watching or what I'm doing, like, I don't even know. I think I put a recording about this somewhere, but I was saying something even, like, for example, I'll be, like, in the living room, for example, and, not recently, like, I haven't recently watched Sopranos with my mom, but, like, when you watch YouTube on the television, and there's, like, it has, like, your history on there, kind of, like, it has, like, the tiles of, like, kind of, like, what you've been watching or what it's recommending to you, and then, like, I guess on the left side, the way this visually looks, like, on the left side, it has, like, stuff that you've recently searched, and so, like, as you're typing in, like, say if I'm typing in Sopranos, anything with an S is gonna come up, and then, like, there's gonna be all these other, like, things popping up, based on either past searches, stuff that I normally search for, things that I usually follow, like people's channels I'm usually watching. And I don't think I realized how much gay content I really consume until I'm like in the living room with my mom, and she's like sitting there waiting for me to like tune the Sopranos in and like pick the episode. But before I get to the point where we're like on the Sopranos page, like there's all the other stuff that's on YouTube that I've been watching, and so I'm like, I'm sure she sees it. Like there's no way she's like ignoring this. She's sitting there just patiently like waiting for me to like do it. Like she's not like on her phone or in another room or whatever. She's just like looking at the TV, and I'm like, yep. And like I laughed once when a couple Christmases ago, like more than a couple now, maybe like 2019, during Christmas, I remember being with like my sister, her boyfriend, my brother, my mom and dad. I can't remember if we had another family friend over and their kid, but I just remember at least it was our immediate family and my sister's boyfriend. And I remember, you know, like me and my sister have shared a Netflix account for ages, and so we basically were like, you know, let's watch something as a family, you know. And mine was already like, I think we had like mine, my sister's, I think we had like a blank account too. But like mine was already like, you know how it kind of like tries to suggest things for you and stuff. And like I already had like a queue or list or whatever it was called. They used to call it the queue or something, and now they call it the list, I guess. But I don't remember what it was at that time, one or the other. The list of like what you kind of like add for like what you're trying to watch later or what you want to like remember to watch or something. So I had this list of all the stuff I was gonna watch later, and it was just like every single like LGBT movie or show that was available on Netflix. And I remember like just sitting there with my family, and my sister's the one who's like controlling everything, and she's like, we couldn't find anything because first of all, you know, my religious parents, like, how are you supposed to watch a movie? Like, sometimes during Christmas, I'm like, okay, like, I don't want to watch a Christmas movie on Christmas. Let's, like, watch something else. I used to always hate that, too, when I was actually watching TV and they would have, like, the holiday episode on the holiday. I hate holiday episodes. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, okay, like, we know it's Halloween. Like, just, let's watch something else. Like, does everything have to be themed? You know, like, I get annoyed by that, but, yeah, she was flipping through the channels, and, well, not the channels, my list, like, because we were like, well, we couldn't search for anything, because everything was, like, Christmassy, and then my parents are, like, really religious, and so they don't like cursing, and swearing, and violence, and nudity, and sex, or anything, right? So it's like, how are you supposed to pick a movie that's not, like, a Disney Pixar kind of thing, you know, and then actually watch a movie as a family? It's like, we can't watch movies as a family because, like, you know, me and my brother and sister, we'll watch, like, Tarantino movies and stuff, and then my parents, like, can't even, like, get through, like, 5 minutes of that. But, yeah, like, they just don't have, and then, like, they get really kind of strict about it when they're, like, as a family. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, my dad's whole thing is, like, if you want to watch that kind of stuff, just watch it by yourself. And so I was like, I get it, but he's like, yeah, like, if we're doing, like, family things, it's really hard for our family to do things because we don't all, like, have the same taste. Other than, like, soccer and basketball, and we usually watch basketball on Christmas, but we weren't watching basketball at this point. And so, yeah, my sister was just, like, in my Netflix, you know, list, and just, like, everybody's just sitting there on the couch, like, let's flip through all my gay movies, like, okay, like, and I don't know, nobody said anything, but my sister's like, hey, my sister, she was just like, okay, she's like, okay, let's look at mine account, let's look at my account. I'm like, okay, thanks, let's look at yours. Like, like I didn't like say don't do it, but I didn't also remember like what was in there. Like, I'm just like, damn. And Netflix doesn't even really have like anything that like risque on there, anything. It's all just like, it's Netflix. Like, the most you're gonna get is a rated R, and you know, if you're not into rated R movies, then you're not gonna watch it. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. And then yeah, the other experience that was more recent that I was saying was that, like, you know, it's happened more than once because we've been watching The Sopranos. I think my mom came in on season 2 or season 3, and we're in like season 5 now, or 6A or whatever it's called. And so yeah, she's been there almost every time when I'm like tuning in, and it's like all the gay history stuff that I have in my, you know, YouTube profile, in my YouTube, you know, account, you know, it's like, I'm sure she sees it. Like, nobody says anything, but I'm like, I mean, there's this podcast that I follow called We're Having Gay Sex. It's not really, I don't know how to explain that. Like, basically, it's this comedian named Ashley Gavin, and she has different people on. Usually they're comedians or actors or somebody in entertainment, but they're kind of like famous, not like Dave Chappelle famous, but like if you follow if you follow enough queer content, they're famous to you. Or, you know, once you learn about them, you start searching their stuff, and then you're like, wow, they're actually pretty popular. But yeah, like comedians, stand-up comedians, people who like for example, she had Fumi from that Rich Asians show. He's a straight Japanese guy. Japanese American. Yeah, and she doesn't have a lot of straight guys on there, but he was on there, and he was really funny. It was like, he was actually cool to have on there. She had the dude who plays the trans guy in the L Word Gen Q. I guess series 1 of Gen Q. I don't know, she's had so many people. But it's usually her co-host, and another person. And usually the format is, you know, well, she has a bunch of ads because she has to, because all of her stuff isn't monetized on YouTube, obviously, because it's gay topics about sexuality overall that they kind of mention a lot of stuff like that. So, of course, that's, you know, she's not going to be able to monetize on there. Like, they shut that down real quick. So she basically has a whole bunch of, like, affiliates and different kind of stuff that she pitches herself in different, like, I think at the very beginning and at the very middle, and at the very end. And so, and then they start, and they basically just say, like, their pronouns, their race, gender, you know, sexuality kind of identifiers of each of them. Usually Ashley starts first, and then it goes to the co-host, and then it goes to whoever their guest is. And sometimes they have a guest that's like a couple like partners that are a guest, but that's more rare. And then they usually go into, like, the whole reason why it's called We're Having Gay Sex is because they have that's kind of like the first actual question after all the, like, banter and, like, all the fun stuff in between. Then they're, like, usually about 10-15 minutes in, they get to the actual point of, like, the question is, like, did you have gay sex this week? But it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly, like, on point like that. So usually the answer is going to be yes or no. And then, or is that the story you want to share? Or is there some other any other thing, either, like, they call it, like, a blast from the past, like some other sexual story from, like, your past, or just, it can be about, like, work or school, or not, like, sexual about work or school, but just, like, any topic about any old thing about, like, you know, maybe they found, like, a new set of like drawing pencils that they really like, the brand or something, and like that's going to be their gay sex topic. But usually they get into more like in-depth kind of vulnerable topics, but it's not like traumatic or anything. Like there's always like a hint of comedy to it, and like, you know, sometimes there's some tears, but usually like 95% of the time it's laughter. And then there's like maybe another 4% of like serious topics, but like on a light note. Like they don't like make light of it, like make fun of each other, but it's kind of like they can address serious topics without it being like, you know, too tense, I guess. Like they just they always like get this like good rapport going, which is really cool. And so there's that. And so like usually Ashley starts first, and then she'll go to the guest and just be like, did you have gay sex this week? And then like they'll tell their story of whatever they want to tell, whatever they want to talk about. Like the floor is theirs. It doesn't matter like if they had gay sex or not. Like it could be a whole episode that's not about any sex thing at all, but like usually it's all about gay sex. And then they go to the co-host, and usually the co-host kind of gets a little bit shortchanged. The co-host usually doesn't get to say as much. But I mean, I think it's pretty cool to hear like three different. It's cool to see like it's usually queer people of some form, and they're all there on the platform, you know, and just talking through mics or even through Zoom or whatever. Sometimes they're physically there in person. Sometimes they're just all in three separate places. And they, you know, it's a good time. It's fun. But yeah, I watch that like every week, or listen to it. Like I mean, just sit and watch people talk to each other. There's not really a lot to like visually see, but unless they have a hot guest on, then of course. But I mean, usually it's just, you can just listen to it. It's like it's a podcast, but it's like on YouTube and other platforms too. But yeah, I'm sure my mom sees that on there. Like it's on there all the time because I watch it all the time. Like, you know, I mean, I'm like, how do you mistake that for any other topic? It's called "We're Having Gay Sex," and it's in like bright pink letters. Like it's there like every single time. So like I have stuff like that like in my YouTube realm. I didn't post that. I haven't posted anything. I'm thinking, have I posted anything like that? I think I recorded an episode about libido before. Recently I did. I know I did. I just don't know where I posted it. And then I recorded, I don't remember. I'm gonna see if I've gone through this yet or not. But I kind of wanted to go over like the sex positive, body positive kind of topics. And I can't remember if I did or not, or maybe I did and I didn't post it, or maybe I posted it and it was like embedded in some other topic where I went like way and veered off topic some other place. Like I don't really know. So, like when I first started recording these things, they were all just like this, with me just like ranting about like 80 different topics, and I had like no direction with it whatsoever. So it might be in there somewhere. But I kind of wanted to more directly record one, so I might, if I can figure out how long this drive is going to take me. Where the hell am I? Jeez, I think I'm like San Clemente, Oceanside. Where am I? There's traffic. This is so annoying. Like, goodness. But anyways, yeah, yeah, like I like those kind of topics though. Like I don't know. I get people's hang-ups, you know. I mean, I don't know. I always worry about like recording something that's either going to get me banned. It's so easy to get banned online, and it's so annoying. It's like I'm not even trying to do anything illegal. But somebody hears something they don't like, and now they're offended, and then it's like, okay, well, that's the end of all the stuff that you put all your work into, so that's that. Like, somebody else has way more say over what happens to your content than you do, honestly. It can be some mother whose child had different beliefs that came across something that you said, and you were cursing. Just all of a sudden you cursed while she heard that. Or the other parent, maybe it's a guy parent, and he heard that, and it's like, now you're getting banned, you know? It's like, okay, sorry. But, I don't know, it's kind of hard. There is, like, freedom of speech, but it's kind of like, dude, like, come on, guys. Like, I'm not even trying to, like, say stuff that's, like, so outrageous that's, like, trying to piss people off. Like, most of what I talk about is my own experiences in life, but I kind of keep it a little general because I don't want to just be, like, talking about... I try to make it relatable because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who, like, deals with the things I deal with. And it's not even all bad. Like, I'm not just constantly having, like, bad days, but I'm not afraid to talk about, like, the shitty parts of my days. Like, you know, like, I have good days. Like, the thing is, too, is the good parts of my days usually are, like, when everything just happens exactly like I expected it to happen, or when I go out and have a good time, and it was just, pretty much any time when I'm going out, it's pretty much almost always going to be a good time. I hardly ever go out, even if it's something as simple as coffee or snacks or dinner or whatever, like, or just a walk on the beach or something. Like, I rarely go out and don't have fun. Like, that's rare. Even if I'm already, like, just miserable because of something else, like, I hardly have times when I go out and I'm like, wow, I should have just stayed home and not gone out at all. Even the stupid things I've done, you know, when I've ended up maybe not in a place where I thought I was gonna end up, it's been, you know, a fun ride, you know? Like, I don't have that many times where there's like, oh, this friend or whoever made things so uncomfortable and dramatic that I stormed out and, like, went home, or, like, you know, it's not really like that. Like, I know a lot of really good people, you know, like, you know, when I go out and we have fun, like, most people I know a lot of people in psych, too, which in a way kind of helps, because, like, your job kind of restrains you from getting a little too wild. Like, you know, you can't do certain things or shouldn't do certain things, you know, so the risk of actually going and performing some kind of action that's going to land you in jail, from something you actually did, not just from, like, an officer picking you up wrong place at the wrong time kind of thing. But, I mean, most of the people I know don't really do illegal stuff. If it is illegal, it's, like, not that illegal. It's, like, yeah, you can maybe get in trouble for that, but it's not, like, something that is really gonna, like, harm any, you know, like, I've been, like, outside of Vegas, like, not even in Vegas, and, like, places with friends where it's, like, you know, somebody might have one of those little shots in their pocket or something and be, like, sipping it on the street, or, like, public intoxication kind of situations and stuff like that, where it's, like, yeah, you know, but, like, most people I know are, like, together enough that they can still do stuff like that and not be just, like, you know, drawing so much attention to themselves that they're gonna get arrested or gonna get, like, a citation or something. Like, usually it's not that big of a deal. And plus, usually when people are doing that, it's, like, in an environment where everyone, like, if we're at a place where people are bar hopping, of course people are gonna be walking around in the streets a little bit tipsy. Like, that's normal by a certain hour of night. Like, that's normal. And so, like, for someone to single you or your group out would be a little odd, because it's like, well, everybody here is doing this. It's not like I'm, like, in the middle of, like, some place where I'm not supposed to be like this, publicly intoxicated, disrupting everybody. Like, it's not stuff like that happening. So I don't really think, you know, I really just don't have, like, dramatic times. Like, I've had times where I've gone home just not out of, like, being offended, but just more like, I think I just need to go. And, like, I've been in settings where I was kind of, like, feeling out the situation, and I was kind of like, I don't know about this. like, because maybe I met some people that, like, I didn't really know, and I'm just, like, mingling with a different crowd of people that I don't really know, and then maybe they were getting up to something that I was kind of, like, not really too into. But I usually don't stick around to see what's going to happen. Like, usually when I'm, like, when somebody's like, hey, let's go, like, get some meth or something, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to go home while you guys go do that. Like, I don't really have any, like, really close friends that are, like, doing that kind of stuff. So it's, like, I'm not really ever feeling, like, at risk of, like, having some kind of, like, crazy-ass situation going on. But you never really know, like, but like, when I go out, we have a good time. Like, I can't remember the last time I came home, like, mad about something or somebody. Like, I ain't got time for that shit. Like, usually it's, like, we're here to have fun. Like, everyone's on the same page. And I've had, like, years of that. Like, usually it's, like, years. It's been, like, years worth of, like, just good times when I go out. But a lot of times I don't really talk a lot about what I do when I go out because I'm there with other people and I'm not trying to, like, say a bunch of things that maybe people don't want me saying, and I don't want to say them anyways because it's, like, nobody's business. Like, I'm not trying to, like, share everything about my life. I feel like I share plenty, so I don't think people need to know more than I already share. But yeah, but I'll have to see if I posted that. I may have recorded. I feel like I recorded something, like, about, like, body positive, sex positive topics, but I don't know if I posted it. I probably hesitated. I probably hesitated because I thought I might get banned. I mean, I've already gotten banned for, like, doing weed reviews. I mean, it's my weed. Like, why is it? I don't know. Whatever. Like, I don't know. That pissed me off. I don't want to go on a rant about it, but seriously, it's like, dude, like, why can't I review my own stuff? Like, it's mine. Like, you know, I'm not, like, telling anybody where to. Well, no, I don't think I don't know. Maybe I have said where I've shopped, but it's legal and I'm within age and in a legal state. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't really know, like, why. But I've been banned so many times for that, and I will still keep posting. Thank you very much. I will post every time you take my shit down. I will post it again. And, you know, I do. They take it down, I post it again. So I don't really care about that. But, yeah, I do a lot of weed reviews. I kind of haven't done as many because I think my phone is full. So it's hard for me to, like, record. I can't do, like, iMovie. Because I don't have enough space, because it, like, double triples your usage of space, because they didn't think that out very well. It's like you have to have it in your saved photos, and then it's a duplicate in iMovie, and then you have to have enough space to be able to, like, upload it onto YouTube or wherever you're uploading to. And I felt a little awkward about uploading stuff like that. But, I mean, I think people need to know. I mean, like, who else to learn about, like, what a certain product is like for a certain person from somebody who's using it all the time? Like, you know, like, what, you know, I feel like they don't want people to learn. Like, they really don't. But it's like, I'm not, like, telling people what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know. Like, experiences vary. Like, it's hard for me to predict. Like, I have friends that really don't like the same experience that I like, you know, but it's like, if you use it enough, you'll figure out what you like. But, I mean, it's hard to really know without doing the whole trial and error if you don't have any content to go by, and they take down all the content. So, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? You know, it's like, whatever. But yeah, I'll see if I posted that. I don't really have a hard time posting about sexuality topics or gender related topics. But when it comes to posting about topics related to sex in general, I don't have a problem with it. I just know other people have a problem with it sometimes. And especially when you're not talking about, like, cis hetero sex you're kind of getting into territory that's like, now people aren't really even listening to what you're saying. Sometimes they're just like trying to like not really hear you. So it's kind of like, sometimes I just want to tell people, it's like, dude, if you're offended, just turn it off and go somewhere different. Like, there's plenty of other places on the internet where you can be that doesn't have me talking on there. Like, if you don't like it, just go somewhere and find something you like. Like, you don't have to sit and listen to like a whole episode of somebody talking about something that makes you super uncomfortable or that really is against your religion or any kind of thing, and, you know, like, and then getting mad and then, you know, trying to get them banned and stuff. It's like, if you don't like it, if they're not doing anything illegal, just go somewhere else and go listen to other things that you approve of. And, you know, there's no need to be like offended. Like, I'm not even trying to be offensive or anything. Like, I just talk the way I'm talking. Like, this is how I talk. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. And I mean, I don't even say like I filter myself. I feel like I'm very filtered. I feel like I'm very filtered. You know, to me this is filtered. So I don't know. Like I said, like, I was raised in a religious household. I know, you know, the whole no cursing and swearing and, you know, saying certain terminology and all that. But I feel like sometimes, like, I'm not like doing things to be like aggressive or anything. It's kind of like I kind of think sometimes you can lighten the mood with a little bit of profanity. Like, it's fun. It's like, okay, like, I didn't expect that, you know. Like, I try not to do it too much because I know it's offensive to people sometimes, you know, and it's not really a good look. Like, it's, you know, but, you know, I don't try to present a perfect picture of myself. Like, I don't try to like act like I'm somebody that I'm not. I hope I don't come off that way, but also, like, I don't try to like act like something completely unnatural from how I naturally am. I try to just be me within like a limit. Like, I don't talk on here exactly how I talk to my friends. Like, I would say way more to them than I would to the internet, especially considering the fact that on occasion my mother finds my content. Like, there's only so much that, you know, you want your mom involved with. Your poor religious mother, like, I don't think she wants to be listening to all the like sex topics that I'd have to talk about, and I don't think I want to post them all over the internet either. But I mean, like, I think there's nothing wrong with generally talking about weed, generally talking about sex, you know. I don't really think there's anything wrong with it, but other people think otherwise. And I get it if you have children that are young and like, you're like, what are they listening to? You know, like, I think that is, you know, I get that. You know, I know people who have young family members that watch TikTok, and they've come across learning about Pornhub because of TikTok, and they're like children. You know, it's like, I don't have kids, but I mean, if I was, you know, if I had a child, I mean, I have like cousins that are younger, a nephew that's younger. I don't think I'd want them, you know, watching Pornhub content. I just think it's too mature for them. Like, I don't think their brains really need that at the moment. Like, it's not really something that, I think it's fine to have a discussion about it at an age-appropriate level and explain things to them. I think I was raised in a household where my family would have been like, you don't even need to know that it exists. My family would have probably been more willing to cut off the internet than they would have been to potentially have their kids stumble across a title of a pornography website. But I think, I don't know. So I think I have to continue this conversation elsewhere, but that's kind of the general direction. You know, I think I'm done ranting. I think I'm almost where I need to be. I've probably been talking like 2 hours. It's dark now. Like, I don't even... So it's got to be like 8 o'clock. I've been driving for like at least 90 minutes then. So I don't even know what time it is. But yeah, these are like... sometimes I just got to put out a rant. Because I'm like, I don't want to record like 80 little topics on all this stuff. Like... I take these rants and I'll break them down into deeper, let's go deeper into the topics individually, but my energy's so all over the place, I was like, I don't really trust my judgment to just hit record quite yet and then try to focus. Like, I gotta kind of just like put it all down first, but this is my brainstorming process done out loud pretty much. I don't even know. Once I get to this hotel, I'm probably just gonna knock out. I got a cool audio type video to unwind to. I'm just gonna relax for once. You know, I've had 3 days of poor sleep. It is time to freaking sleep on time, you know? I did this to myself. I did this to myself. But yeah. Anyways, I don't know when I'm posting this. I hope everyone had either a good previous weekend, or if the weekend's upcoming, I hope your upcoming weekend is going to be good. With that, I'm going to stop this episode, and thanks for listening.